Hey guys, so I'm at AMFEST. I'm with David. He's a former Special Operations Sergeant. Did you want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Yes. I was in the Army for 6 years, and I ended my career as a psychological operations sergeant that falls into the special operations community. And yeah, I'm here at AMFEST, ready to talk to you about that.
Yeah, so we talked to recently. You had a story about Kratom. Can
hmm
you explain what Kratom is? And you were also the largest supplier for Kratom at one point.
Yeah, actually, top five suppliers in the United States. Kratom is a plant from Indonesia. Mitragina speciosa Korth is the actual official title, and it comes from the coffee family actually. And it at the short story is it really helps with pain and people who have opioid addictions. It actually helps them get off of that. And through a long story, I got introduced to it, and then we started a team of a partnership, and we were able to we became the top five importers in the United States. We were helping a lot of people. I personally saw hundreds of people getting healed by this, but Big Pharma did not did not like what we were doing, and so they put a lot of pressure and funded a lot of FDA studies that were solely focused on only trying to prove the dangers of kratom, which there are some dangers because there's dangers to every single drug or supplement. Some people react differently to it, but their sole focus was to only focus on those, and there were no studies on any of the benefits whatsoever. And it ended with the DA trying to schedule it, and there was a lot of drama. It ended up in a gray area.
And what did Diane Feinstein do? You mentioned something about Diane Feinstein.
Yeah, so I lived in California, Santa Clarita, California at the time, and that's where the company was based. And then we had warehouses across California, north all the way down to Southern California. Basically, there started to be rumors that we were being investigated for something illegal, and we weren't doing anything illegal. Everything, our shipping papers, everything was on the up and up. So we reached out to Diane Feinstein's office, and I didn't even think there would be a problem. We just reached out and said, "Hey, we're hearing we're possibly being investigated. Just so you know, this is our paperwork. We're on the up and up." And the reason I did that is because a long time ago, I used to work in a senator's office, Mel Martinez in Orlando. And whenever there's issues like that, you just talk to your senator, and then somebody looks into it, and they help you out. And this is what we're looking for. So we talked to her, and next thing you know, I thought, okay, we're going to get some help. We get a letter basically saying not only are I'm not going to help you, I fully support the investigation. You guys are not medical doctors. You guys cannot be prescribing, which we weren't, prescribing this kratom to the population. You're actually hurting the population. And that's the letter we got. And then maybe 2 weeks later, the U.S. Marshals kicked in our warehouses, put us at gunpoint. We were facing 7 counts of fraud for allegedly mislabeling our shipments to the tune of $100,000 each fraud count. So we were facing $700,000 in charges and 20 years up to 20 years in prison.
And ultimately, how did that get resolved?
We hired a very expensive lawyer, and we talked to them, and the lawyer basically said the actual grounds of the case, they have no ground to stand on. We have the case. We're in the correct. However, their pockets are endless, and the lawyer even told us we probably can't afford him, and he was correct, because to fight that kind of case, we're talking 2-3 years at least, and there was no way we could afford it. So I left the business, and we folded.
So you had to shut down all operations?
Yeah, we shut.
And what about the extra kratom? Did you have to ship it off somewhere or just destroy it?
Actually, we basically made a deal that they would
seize it,
just get rid of everything. They would take it, seize it, do whatever they want with it. The only thing that upsets me about all that is when I go to gas stations now, every single gas station sells not just kratom. there's all these derivatives like Kratom drinks and everything. It's a full blown
Market for it. And it's legal.
And it's completely legal, it seems, right now. And
so you're just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Correct.
Under government overreach. Because they didn't like what you were doing. They just came in, swooped in, seized your product, shut you down, fined you, and threatened you prison time.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's a crazy story. So you were also former psychological operations, PSYOPs for short.
Yep.
What did that entail? Because I know people throw that word around a lot these days.
Yes.
You actually worked and did PSYOPs directly. Can you summarize what a PSYOP actually is?
Controlling narratives.
And how did you control narratives?
You want a specific example, or do you want just like the broad strokes?
Broad strokes and then specific. So
you're always in control of the story in order to further whatever mission or effort needs to be accomplished. So at all times, whatever it takes to push a narrative, whether foreign or domestic, but in my case, foreign, for the most part, those narratives you just continue to push narratives. And toward the end, though, our mission on August 31st, 2010, Obama changed our mission. We could not be the leaders in our operations in any capacity, whether it's combat, whether it's PSYOPs, the entire military. The U.S. military became advise and assist to the Iraqi people. So my final job ended up being teaching them PSYOPs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you had the story of you guys had to level a playground or something got leveled and then you built a school. Can you just go ahead and talk about that?
Okay. So super sensitive. So we're totally clear, super sensitive. I'm going to talk about this in the best way that I can without revealing any classified information.
Yeah.
Just so you know, this might not be classified anymore, but I have no idea what gets classified and what doesn't get declassified. So I'm just going to be careful for myself.
It's fine.
Okay. So basically, I'll start with the end and go to the beginning. So I wrote a lot of articles for American and world media. So we have something called DVids where I write articles and my name is on it. Like it's not like when people hear PSYOPs, they think it's they're thinking more like clandestine CIA agents and things like that. Now we're trained by those people, and State Department and military intelligence and different DoD contractors. We're trained by those people, but we're not clandestine. My name is on those articles as of today. You could Google it. You can Google this stuff. So let's hypothetically say I write an article about building a school in Iraq or helping farmers or something in Iraq, right? So I write a really positive story about how our unit helped build a school, the Corps of Engineers, etc. And it's a beautiful school, and it shows. We go and you take all the pictures of all the Iraqi kids learning. We're walking through, the typical walkthroughs when you open a new business, a new beneficial business and stuff is going. So it's a real feel-good story. It's really great, and those stories get picked up fast. You put them on DVids, AP and Reuters pick them up. Once those two pick them up, every outlet
picks it up. Yeah.
Local outlet in Virginia, local paper will pick it up, right? Yeah. So everybody feels good sentiment. U.S. Army, we're doing great things.
And you guys built what? A school?
A school. Yeah, that's one of the things
in
that
Iraq.
We did in Iraq. Yeah, in southern Iraq. So that's a really feel good story, and that's the one half of my job, right? The part of PSYOPs, which I think you're referring to when you just said earlier, you said everybody uses that word, right?
Online, on X, yeah.
Yeah. When they're using that word, they're probably talking about the negative connotation of PSYOP. I just told you the positive connotation, but there's always a flip side. And so the dark flip side of that positive connotation that I just gave you, every single thing that I write for those stories is 100% true. These are not lies. They are all verified. We did build those schools. We did help those farmers. We did do all those things. However, here's the dark side. Let's say hypothetically, 6 months prior to that school being built, we were looking for terrorists. And
in order to build that school, you guys may or may not have had to have leveled
yeah,
wherever there may or may not have been terrorists in hiding when you had leveled
Correct.
to build the school.
Right, which would have been would have been fine, because normally what we do when we know we're about to find somebody, we actually have ways, especially using flyers, we have ways to let people know, kind of like exit, like leave the area, right? Which it usually works out. And in that case, for example, we thought that it had worked out that way. And then so, we commit our combat actions, whether through a drone strikes, a ground forces, whatever it takes, right?
Fire teams, possibly.
Correct. And then, unfortunately, sometimes in those situations, there's a lot of collateral damage, right? After a fact, when there's an after-action review and they make an assessment, and hypothetically, let's say maybe there were 1,000 casualties that were just civilians, women and children, and just farmers and whoever. When that happens, we don't talk about that, right? Unless there's investigations and stuff and actual war crimes, we don't actually talk about those things. We're not going to tell that to the public unless
unless it gets probed or found out in discovery.
Yeah. So the only thing that my job is to do is to tell the story about that school being built in that same town. Now, I'm being speculative here on this part, is that what I don't know, and this is the potential nefarious part of our government, what I do not know is, was there always a plan to, help that area, build a school, etc.? But if I'm being completely honest, and, let's just be logical here, it's just a form of reparations, as far as building these schools and all those positive stuff we were doing. It's because we did a lot of damage.
To maybe make up.
Yeah, to maybe make up for that community. And there's sort of a unwritten deal between the community being made where those people don't yet know how to expose those people who were not the actual victims, but the friends, family, etc. of those victims. They were sort of a very primitive people in the specific instance that I'm talking about. They're not sophisticated enough to find a reporter in Iraq, which is very hard to find, actually. Find a Iraqi reporter to get these stories out and say, this is what the U.S. government did. So we sort of make an unwritten deal with the town. Hey, this just happened. It was very unfortunate, but here's what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year. And then we lay out plans, and then the community kind of says, well, you can't fix the past. So yes, we do want this school. We do want all that stuff. Again, now I don't know if that's dangled in front of them like a carrot.
Yeah.
These are the things, because
it's better than nothing.
Yeah,
it's better than just plain destruction.
Yeah. Why it's interesting to talk to you about this is that everything in the military, including my job, is compartmentalized. So I might be doing something, and my teammate might be doing something else. I sometimes don't know what his mission is. He doesn't know what my mission is. So his mission could have been a cover up with the community. My mission is just reporting on the school at that moment. We're not related. In order, it's actually beneficial to me because I have plausible deniability. I don't know.
You don't know the full story.
I don't know.
And
because
you just go in, you just do your job.
You do your job because they keep things at a certain level, right? Like these generals and such, they're drafting out these missions, and they specifically compartmentalize these missions.
Yeah. Did you ever have to work with translators to maybe make some literature?
Oh, for sure. So I had my main translator, who's a U.S. citizen in actual U.S. Army, but also an Iraqi citizen, so dual citizen. And he's my actual U.S. Army translator with a secret clearance, right? And then I worked with a team of 20, 35 total linguists, but walking out in the patrols, 20 linguists. And we do something called collecting human atmospherics and human intel. So what happens is these interpreters, I don't understand the language. These interpreters are just walking around with me, and we're walking around towns, visiting, we're visiting government buildings, schools, etc. Just walking around town. Obviously with security and patrols and all that stuff. And we're just listening to people and talking to people. And what happens is we just listen and talk to people for 5 hours a day, and then we go back to the unit, to our either our bunkers or our bases or whatever. We have our computers, and it's just 10 hours, it's 5 hours of patrol, and then 10 hours of them just feeding me information. And I'm doing these little things that I'm not going to get technical, but there's a certain kind of brief and it's written in a specific way that I have to create these mini briefs. It's about two little paragraphs, maybe 8 lines total, but they have to be separate, and each one of those goes to military intelligence.
Yeah. So you guys collect information, and then what do you do with that information ultimately?
Well, military intelligence, I don't know how they do their job, but military intelligence, working with State Department, CIA, DoD contractors, they have so many teams embedded and assembled. They can take these little tidbits, piece them together to find targets and or potential threats. A quick example is, this is a real example. So we were looking for this really bad dude, Muqtada al-Sadr, who we actually had back in the first invasion, back when Iraq got invaded. But for some reason, the State Department decided that they wanted to, that they could turn him and have him work with us, which they tried to do.
And it didn't work out?
In 2009, he gained back power, and he was just, doing some really, really bad things. So we're definitely looking for this guy again. And he took US dollars, by the way. Yeah. So we're looking for this guy again. And now let's say all our human intelligence, we hear, oh, there was a white van, and people are just talking, they're like, yeah, there was a white van. And then somebody else, like way down the street, was like, yeah, there was actually a white van over there. Well, because once interpreters tell me something that's really, really key, like they think is key, it's like, hey, 3 people have talked about a white van in different areas. Now we're actually actively going to ask the next area, blah, 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 blah. Hey, by the way, you ever see a white van around here? Like, what do you mean? Oh, yeah. And then so it starts to create, you start to see a pattern. Now, I don't see that pattern. I'm just hearing the white van. It's keywords to me.
Yeah.
So to me, it's keywords. But when I'm reporting it to military intelligence, right, using whatever resources and assets that they have, they literally can look at a map and be like, hold on, white van spotted here, trajectory here. And based on existing information they had, it'd be like, Muqtada al-Sadr had a bodyguard that always drove a white van historically. Could this be the same guy? And if it's the same guy, maybe he's visiting his mistress over here or whatnot. Long story short, they collect the information, send it up, and then a real op gets created out of that. Meaning, when I say op, I mean like strike team, Rangers, special forces, whoever. This guy's probably in this building, in this radius.
Yeah.
We need him alive. Go get him. And 9 times out of 10, just based on human atmospherics and human intel, 9 times out of 10, not somebody saying, that guy's there, I think that guy's there. Just talking, like the way you and I are talking. If somebody was listening to us right now in the corner, they'd be collecting human intelligence. That's what I'd be doing, just listening, right? And the next thing you know, we have our man.
Yeah, so just chatter. Yeah, all right. Yep. Interesting. Did you want to say anything else?
No, listen, I could talk about this stuff probably for 3 days straight if you let me, but for now, I think I've given you a lot, and hopefully I've stayed within the classified limits, everybody. So,
yeah. Well, okay, really quick, what do you want Trump to accomplish during the next 4 years?
Oh, so much. So what I know he'll accomplish, definitely, from our earlier conversation about Kratom, definitely the Make America Healthy Again aspects of things, I think is so key to me. And I think that brought a lot of people over that weren't necessarily conservatives or supporters, because I really want, for my daughter and for me and for everybody in the world, I want everybody's food and health and medicine and all that to be safe and preventative, not reactive, right? So I think that's a big thing. Government efficiency, definitely needed.
Cut all the bloat.
So much bloat.
All the bureaucrats, get them out of here.
So much. And just so you know, one of the main reason I left the military was because I wanted to be with my family. But I could have been convinced to stay. I had a pretty badass job, let's be honest. Like, I get to say I was PSYOPs. That's cool, right? And I was a medic before that. So really cool, right? However, I saw so much fraud, waste, and abuse. Insane levels of fraud, waste, and abuse. Here's a nugget. This is just a bonus. Here's a little bonus. So instead of fixing some of our vehicles, sometimes, instead of just fixing them, which, you have a vehicle, you want to keep it working well, you just fix it, right? Instead of fixing them, I don't know how this works, but with defense contracts and $1-for-$1 and this and that, they'd rather just donate them to QA or blow them up, literally blow up a vehicle that's not functioning instead of fixing it. And then a new vehicle gets ordered and made. And I don't know, somebody's profiting off of that. I don't know how that works, but I saw enough of that. And at the time, right now I'm forgetting, but I remember at the time, because I worked on a classified computer and I got to see all these micro grants. I got to see stuff that people think the atrocities of war are things like what I mentioned before about casualties and collateral damage. The waste and abuse that I actually saw and how much money is being spent, and this is taxpayer money.
Yeah.
What I saw was being spent. That's when I was I love the Army. I love America. And I loved the Army. I was the 2009 U.S. Army Medical Department Sergeant of the Year. I love the Army. However, I can't support that.
The wasteful spending.
The waste, the sheer waste. I cannot support that. And I could never support that. Yeah, so I had to go.
We got to take that money, put it towards the border wall, and deport Abuelita. Let's get him out of here.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, David.
All right. Thank you for having me.